Good afternoon. My name is David Okon. Thank you so much for your help. I'm talking about the cost of living. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Talking about the cost of living crisis. I've been doing this for 10 months now. And this time I'm actually talking about Asia. And I'm talking about Asia and linking Asia with the cost of living crisis. The cost of living crisis is a very important topic which everyone is talking about, and that's why I'm talking about it. It is affecting almost 90% of the global population. Some people realize the problem, others don't. But whether you realize it or not, you are in serious trouble. It's a sign of the times. It's a statement by capitalism, and the capitalists who say 90% of the population are excluded from wealth. And that is precisely why there is the cost of living crisis. If it was not for poverty, no cost of living crisis would exist anywhere in the world. And it is affecting the working class, the lower and the middle classes. The working class across the globe, especially in the developed world, with access to credit and other forms of employment, do not realize they are poor until they are homeless, until they begin to suffer income problems and indebtedness and all sorts of havoc. If you lose your home, if you're buying on credit, you get a mortgage, you lose your home, then you know you're in trouble. And multimillionaires and multi-billionaires who form between 15 and 10% of the population are actually able to buy their houses, their homes to live in, right outright. They don't need to borrow. If they borrow because they want to buy whatever they want to buy. But if you have to depend on credit, then you are actually not sure. You see, you are blinded by the fact that you are actually living in poverty. If you lose your job, it doesn't matter how good your job is, 6 months later you will be in trouble. That is why there is the cost of living crisis. The cost of living crisis comes from the cost of living. It becomes a crisis when people struggle to cope, to access the basics like food, energy, housing, health care, sometimes also employment. Employment is part of human welfare. And I've argued that this has been caused by an extreme form of capitalism, which is closing down the public sector and the public service being left to private companies to provide. They are not providing it, they are shutting it down, trying to save money. We have seen in the UK recently the problem with railway services, where railway capacity is being reduced to cut costs. If private company cut costs, they make profit. The primary purpose of a private company is to make profit, nothing else. Therefore, a government privatizing public service is wrong and violent. The right thing to do is for privatization to be reversed. Public sectors across the globe, including in Asia, where I'm looking at now. I'm now looking at Asia. I've been looking at different continents and countries to illustrate the problem, to prove that there is enough wealth everywhere in the world, including in Asia, which I'm now have a material I'm reviewing now, to show to viewers that there is enough resources in the world. Nobody should live in poverty, and poverty is creating the cost of living crisis. Therefore, if the government nationalize the economy and increase income level for those who work and those who don't work, using public sector and public service, there will be no poverty. Therefore, there will be no cost of living crisis anywhere in the world. The world is enough. The world is full of wealth, even in Africa. And this is what I've been saying over and again. The value of this process is that if you are a human being, you have to take responsibility for your life. Otherwise, you will suffer. And it is a matter of life and death. People are committing suicide now in different parts of the world because they can no longer cope with the humiliation, with the shock because people thought the government was looking after them. It turns out that the government has stopped caring for anyone, because if it cared, it would nationalize the economy to provide public service, which actually public service is actually supposed to help the majority of the population who are poor, to get them out of poverty, to give them a platform in which they can compete in the market. And that should happen. It does not happen because of violence, because of robbery, and also because of being cruel, being uncivil. And this state of affairs is created by cultural failure as opposed to developmental successes, because we have hide it very well on the developmental front. You see, and the situation we have now in the world, we are actually very rich in terms of development, also in terms of potential. So I've been saying this over and again. Leave a comment below, and thank you so much. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much. Thank you so much for helping and sharing with your family and friends. I'll be continuing with this topic for a long time. I'll leave a comment below and let me know your thoughts. We are going to look at Asia today, and this is with reference to the cost of living crisis. We're going to look at conflicts, modern conflicts in Asia. We're looking at the plight of refugees. There are in certain countries, like in Punjab, there are special trains in a country, a place like Ambala in Punjab. So during the partition of India in 1947, U.S. forces dropped napalm. Forces dropped napalm on suspected Vietnamese. These are some of the violence, the conflicts, which is actually evidence of cultural failure in the world. We look at other examples where the Kong positions in 1965, wounded civilians arriving at the hospital at Aleppo during the Syrian civil war. In October 2012, we also see things like demonstrations in Hong Kong against the extradition bill, beginning in March 2019 and turning into continuous mass movements, drawing around 2 million protesters. By June, some of the events pivotal in the Asia territory are related to the relationship with the outside world in the post-Second World War. These were events including the partition of India, the Chinese Civil War, the Kashmir conflict, the Balochistan conflict, the Naxalite Maoist insurgency in India, the Korean War. These are some of the events. The French Indochina War, the Vietnam War, the Indonesia-Malaysia confrontation, the 1959 Tibetan uprising, the Sino-Vietnamese War, the Bangladesh Liberation War, the Yom Kippur War, the Xinjiang conflict. We're talking about Asia and the conflict, the Iranian Revolution, the Soviet-Afghan War, the Iran-Iraq War, the Cambodian killing fields, the insurgency in Laos, the Lebanese Civil War, the Sri Lankan Civil War, the 1988 Maldives coup d'etat, the dissolution of the Soviet Union, the Gulf War, the Nepalese War, civil war, the Indo-Pakistan wars and conflicts, the West Papua conflict, the first Nagorno-Karabakh war, the 1989 Tiananmen Square protest, the Indonesian occupation of East Timor, the 1999 Pakistani coup d'etat, the war in Afghanistan, the Iraq War, the South Thailand insurgency, the 2006 Thai coup d'etat, the Burmese Civil War, the Saffron Revolution, the Kurdish-Turkish conflict, the Arab Spring, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, the Syrian Civil War, the Sino-Indian War, the 2014 Thai coup d'etat, the Moro conflict in the Philippines, the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, the Turkish invasion of Syria, the Rohingya crisis in Myanmar, the Saudi Arabian-led intervention in Yemen, the Hong Kong protest, the 2020 China-India skirmishes, the Sino-Indian border dispute, let's look at culture, the cultural systems we'll look at the example of this. These are actually in 8 lines to give you a picture of the kind of conflicts happening in Asia. You can do a research and leave a comment below if you're interested in one of the conflicts. Then we can probably talk about it. But the conflict, the reason I'm talking about conflict is that conflicts are responsible for a crisis. The cost of living is partly caused by conflicts, different types, including the war in Ukraine. But now the continuing war in the Middle East is actually making the cost of living crisis even worse. People are always fighting, even in Asia and Europe, elsewhere. If you look at the history of humanity, you'll be shocked how much fighting we have done. In families, now on the streets, children are walking with knives and guns. They're taking drugs. They're killing even adults. Some of them are murdering their parents, children. This is evidence that our culture is broken. We no longer value our lives as individuals. We don't value the life of other people. Life is cheap to us. We value wealth, power, and money, and everything else, including the environment, except our lives. This is a cultural distortion. Culture means prioritizing humanity, to value humanity. A simple message, but profoundly important in impacting our educational system, so that we begin to teach culture at a basic level for people to have respect for themselves and for other people, so that the war will stop. Cost of living crisis is a form of war, is an attack by the state on humanity. The majority who are poor, but eventually because of violence and a form of insanity due to loss of cultural efficiency, we face extinction as humanity, because the poor will die first in the world. The rich will die last. Your wealth will not protect you from violence. Your culture will prevent violence, including the cost of living crisis. And this is important information, because if you have a problem, you should solve it. We are humans. We are problem solvers, and we take responsibility. We have human rights, yes, we should have human responsibilities as well. We don't just sit there and do nothing. Let us take responsibility for our life. We can complain about the rich if you're poor. We can complain about the few if you're many. But you take responsibility and learn your culture. If the rich can no longer understand because they are blinded by power and wealth, the poor has opportunity to learn, to listen and learn their culture. Respect yourself. Even if you're poor, come together, work together as humans. It's not really something you should be proud of, to be poor and divided. Why do you call each other strangers? You're not. You're family, you're human family. You should live together. If you have problems, you come together and solve problems. You don't behave like wild animals, or even worse. This is because the diagnosis of our misbehavior, all of us, because we have lost track of our culture, respecting ourselves, respecting humanity, and valuing the same. If we did that, if we do that, we don't abuse ourselves if we value our life. We don't abuse other people if we value them. So watch this video and share with your family and friends. Leave a comment below, and thank you so much for your support. Let us look at the culture of Asia. Culture is a development factor, not as a cultural factor. If you watch the rest of my video, you should be familiar with this concept because I have been talking about it for 10 months. So watch the videos and learn what I'm talking about. It's very essential. Even if you are Donald Trump or Joe Biden in America, learn from my video. If you're lucky enough as President of America or Prime Minister of Britain, Rishi Sunak should watch my video and learn a thing or two. Keir Starmer should also watch my video and learn the human culture, because there is no point becoming Prime Minister of Britain if you don't understand culture. You have no respect. You don't even know how to negotiate with the Europeans or the Americans or the Asians, because you see, the basis of any government negotiation should be on humanitarianism, which is number one priority. Respect, valuing people first, getting people out of poverty globally. One country can no longer do that because of globalization. And because of globalization, the world can eradicate poverty within a year. If you want to stretch it, then 10 years, there should be nothing like the cost of living crisis anywhere. And that is the message. If you are the head of state, watch this video. If you have connection, send this video to your president, head of state. Let them watch it and learn from it, to learn culture. It's a simple information, it's not too complicated, and it should not be tedious for us in the 21st century who are very clever. To learn something as simple as learning to value humanity. Politicians are now laboring over the idea of compassion. They're seeing it as music. Because you see, there is no compassion if you don't know culture. If there was compassion from policy makers, there wouldn't be cost of living. There wouldn't be violence like you see in Israel and Palestine. People don't fight if they have compassion. Compassion for what? There would be no terrorists. So if there is any compassion, then it should be taught in school. It means respecting yourself, respecting others, changing the way you think. This is not impossible. It is possible because people can learn. They can unlearn bad habits and learn good habits. It is the political will which is lacking because of ignorance. People value anything else except humanity. You think this is the right thing. It is not. That is why there is a cost of living. That is why there are all sorts of problems, because humanity are the vehicle for change, for peace. If humanity do not understand peace, there will never ever be peace. And we are going to go extinct within 100, 200, 500 years. We will not see the earth as you see it today. Everything will be destroyed. And this is an emergency call. This video is very important. Listen to it, whether you enjoy listening to it or not. This is not music. This is not party. This is a life and death message. So listen to it, share with family and friends. Take it to your member of parliament. Let them take it to their head of state and let them listen to it. It doesn't matter how proud they are. And thank you so much for spending time with me. We're going to go back to looking at this material to review it. In Asia, the culture in Asia, the culture of Asia is diverse and blend customs and traditions, and have been practiced by the various ethnic groups of the continent for centuries. So the continent is divided into 6 geographic sub-regions: Central Asia, East Asia, North Asia, South Asia, Southeastern Asia, the West is in West Asia. So these regions are defined by their cultural similarities, including common religions, languages, including common also known as common, including common religions, languages, and ethnicities. So West Asia, also known as Southwest Asia or the Middle East, has cultural roots in the ancient civilization of the Fertile Crescent and Mesopotamia, which gave rise to the Persian, Arab, Ottoman empires, as well as the Abrahamic religions of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. These civilizations, which are located in the hilly flanks, are among the oldest in the world, with evidence of farming dating back to around 19,000 BCE. Despite the challenges posed by the vast size of the continent and the presence of natural barriers such as deserts and mountain ranges, trade and commerce have helped to create a pan-Asian culture that is shared across the region. We see Nobel Prize winners in Nobel Prize prizes. The Indian polymath Rabindranath Tagore was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1913 and became Asia's first Nobel laureate. These are some of the cultural achievements, which is part of the human development. In the developmental context, the polymath Rabindranath Tagore, a Bengali poet, dramatist, and writer from Santiniketan, now in West Bengal, India, became in 1913 the first Asian Nobel laureate. He won his Nobel Prize in literature for notable impact, his prose works and poetic thought art on English, French, and other national literatures of Europe and the Americas. He is also the writer of the national anthems of Bangladesh and India. It's a great work. Other Asian writers who won Nobel Prize for Literature include Yasunari Kawabata in Japan, 1968, Kenzaburo Ohi of Japan, 1994, Gao Jingjian, China, 2000, Orhan Pamuk, Turkey, 2006. You may not believe Turkey is in Asia, but it is, because Asia and Europe and Africa are so closely connected in terms of continental borders. And Mo Yan in China, 2012. Some may consider the American writer Paul S. Burke an honorary Asian Nobel laureate, having spent considerable time in China as the daughter of missionaries and based many of her novels, namely The Good Hearth, 1931, and The Mother, 1933, as well as the biographies of her parents for their time in China, The Exile, and Fighting Angel, all of which earned her the Literature Prize in 1938. Relations between Europe and Asia, as well as perhaps America, began a long time ago. Also, Mother Teresa of India and Shirin Ebadi of Iran were awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for their significant and pioneering efforts for democracy and human rights, especially for the rights of women and children. Ebadi is the first Iranian and the first Muslim woman to receive the prize. Another Nobel Peace Prize winner is Aung San Suu Kyi from Burma for a peaceful and non-violent struggle under a military dictatorship in Burma. So you see, these are also progress on the front of development, and some are peaceful, others are not so peaceful, but overall, because we need an industrial component of cultural economy to unearth the power of culture to bring peace. And that is what I am actually talking about as a solution, not just the cost of living, but also poverty and all the other problems, including bringing in peace, lasting peace in the world. Another Nobel Peace Prize winner is Aung San Suu Kyi from Burma for her peaceful and non-violent struggle under military dictatorship in Burma. She is a non-violent pro-democracy activist and leader of the National League for Democracy in Burma, Myanmar, and a noted prisoner of conscience. She is a Buddhist and was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1991. Chinese dissident Liu Xiaobo was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in his long and non-violent struggle for fundamental human rights in China on the 8th of October 2010. He is the first Chinese citizen to be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize of any kind while residing in China. In 2014, Kailash Satyarthi from India and Malada Yousafzai from Pakistan were awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for their struggle against the suppression of children and young people and for the right of all children to education. These are peaceful crusaders who should be complimented, but their work will pale to nothing as long as we still neglect the industrial component of cultural economy to access its powers and also its providence, to integrate it within the modern day system of learning, wherever learning occurs. This is the roadmap to peace in its fundamental essence. To bring peace ultimately, we need to start studying humanity, and also the idea of respecting people at an industrial scale should produce an economy in its own right. Japan has won the most Nobel Peace Prizes of any Asian nation with 24, followed by India, which has won 13. So Amartya Sen, born 3rd November 1933, is an Indian economist who was awarded the 1998 Nobel Memorial Prize in Economic Sciences for his contribution to welfare economics and social choice theory, and for his interest in the problems of society's poorest members. So we are looking at other Asian Nobel Peace winners, including Subramanian Chandrasekhar, Abdus Salam, Malala Yousafzai, Robert Uman, Menachem Begin, Aaron Sheshonova, Avram Ashkol Daniel Kahneman, Shimon Peres, Yitzhak Rabin, Ada Jonas, Yasser Arafat, José Ramos Horta, and Bishop Carlos Felipe Ximenez Bello of Timur Leste, Kim Dae-jung, and 13 Japanese scientists. Most of the seat awardees are from Japan and Israel, except for Chandra Shekhar and Rahman, who are Indians, Abdul Salam and Malala Yousafzai, which are Pakistani, Arafat, Palestinian territories, Kim, South Korea, and Ota and Bello are Timur Leste. In 2006, Dr. Muhammad Yunus of Bangladesh was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for the establishment of Grameen Bank, a community development bank that lends money to poor people, especially women in Bangladesh. Dr. Yunus received his PhD in economics from Vanderbilt University, United States. I have said it before, and I say it again about giving credit to poor people. It's a form of violence, not peace. So whoever opened even a bank to give credit to poor people should be given a prize for violence, not peace. It's a contradiction of terms. This is really wrong. Because you see, poor people should not be given, they should be given grants for starting business, and they should be supported by government and NGOs, including rich people. And also people with technical knowledge should give their knowledge for free for the majority of the population to learn how to manage organizations and do businesses to get them out of poverty in the first place. And if I may say so, if you are, it doesn't matter who you are, if you are actually a celebrity of any kind in Asia or around the world, it should be your responsibility. If you are a former president of a country, prime minister, or even the head of a military, celebrity in the entertainment sector, sports, and all these music, in every community, in every country, in every continent, there should be a coalition of celebrities, multimillionaires and multi-billionaires should come together and start a specific NGO to get poor people out of poverty today. Not tomorrow, today. The reason they are not doing it, including Donald Trump, Rishi Sunak in the UK, who's the British Prime Minister, is an Asian. He is worth over $200 million. That is not enough to get the British people out of poverty. But because he is Prime Minister, because he has friends around the world, Britain is one of the most powerful countries on earth, including America and countries like China and Russia. Russia is now busy fighting Ukraine, which is a form of insanity. Israel, which is one of the leading powers of the world, is busy fighting in the Middle East with Arabs. They should stop. They should stop. And they cannot stop because they are on drugs. There is a drug known as ignorance of human culture, of human value. They need to go to school. These leaders, not just in one country, but you look at the history of the world, it's littered with violence. The leaders are actually ignorant. They should go back to school and learn peace. Learning peace, beginning with respecting people. It's not too complicated. It's just if you're willing to learn and listen to learn and to bring peace. This process should start now. The cultural transformation. To bring peace, that is how to bring peace. You see, if you respect yourself, you respect other people, you cannot really do harm to people. Now in the Middle East, but also everywhere, children are now being used as human shield, as tools for protection. People are being, civilians and children are being exposed Poor people, people who want to be protected, are now being exposed to harm for propaganda and selfish purpose. People are being shot in the Middle East. Children are being murdered. And these are actually graphic photographs of these injured children are being brought onto television. We are behaving now like wizards. We have lost our humanity. You cannot bring those scenes even on the BBC. A child with injuries, with blood in her face, is being brought because of stupidity, propaganda, for political gain, for political propaganda. We are evil. And that is the point. Because if you are murdering children, don't bring it onto the TV. It's bad enough you are killing children and innocent people, mothers and men. People who are actually poor are being murdered by people in power. And that is the whole point. It is dangerous, and it's the same problem being manifested through poverty and the cost of living crisis. It's a form of violence which should stop. We cannot talk of peace prizes when there is no peace. In fact, nobody should even be awarded in the Nobel Peace Prize. What for? They have done nothing to bring peace. They may be credited as an individual, but we need peace at a corporate level. We need peace everywhere. It's good enough to get Nobel Peace Prize or what, for whatever reason. I don't dispute that. Let us come back to this material and carry on. So in 2006, Dr. Muhammad Yunus of Bangladesh was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for the establishment of a Grameen Bank, a community development bank that lends money to poor people, especially women in Bangladesh. Wrong. Dr. Yunus received his PhD in economics from Vanderbilt University, United States. So that he's not the right person to bring peace in Bangladesh. That's why there are poor people in Bangladesh. Because you should give a loan to Bangladeshi people who are poor. Give grants. Rich people should use their influence to raise money to give grants, to invest in businesses, to get people out of poverty, build houses for poor people, use land, free lands, and grow food, and give food freely to poor people of the world to get them out of food poverty. The same with energy. Energy should not be sold to poor people, the 90% of the population who work for a living. Rich people can do that. They can generate money freely, even they don't have to be taxed by the government globally. Even poor people can contribute, giving actually to NGOs. And actually people who with skill to run systems can set up NGOs globally to provide food, free food, energy, housing, and water, healthcare, and if needed, then small and medium businesses can be supported to provide employment. Technology should be invested in as a matter of charity to produce enough technology, artificial intelligence, robotics, 3D printers, nanotechnology. Robotics. We have these things. We should build on them to start easing our way out of political and economic violence. But we cannot. We are going to use technology, powerful technology, for distraction because we are stupid. Stupidity is a very easy concept to understand. You don't value humans. You don't value your life. People behave like wizards and witches. It doesn't matter how rich they are. They are horror stories. Children are behaving in ways. Children are becoming a terror on the street. We are creating monsters for children, for women, for men, whether they are poor or rich. So this has to change. Otherwise, we are going to be are full of futility of Earth. So he is internationally known for the concept of microcredit, which is a very bad thing, which allows poor and destitute people with little or no collateral to borrow money. Very wrong. It should stop everywhere it happens in the world. This is completely wrong. People should be given grants, not loan at all. No loan, all grant. If these people like him are saying, and he is not, he should stop really encouraging rubbish like microfinance. Immediately, should stop. What kind of rubbish is that? So the borrowers typically pay back money within the specified period, and the incidence of default is very low. Well, it doesn't matter. There's no evidence of that. The Dalai Lama has received approximately 84 awards of his spiritual and political career. On the 22nd June 2006, he became one of the 4 people ever to be recognized with honorary citizenship by the Governor General of Canada. On the 28th May 2005, he received the Christmas Humphreys Award from the Buddhist Society in the United Kingdom. Most notable was the Nobel Prize, Peace Prize, presented in Oslo, Norway, in the 10th December 1989. The Dalai Lama should go and learn his culture, because people like him have been getting awards, but the condition of the world is getting worse. So the Dalai Lama of their generation should go back to school and simplify their philosophies. The basic respect for humans, and that is a simple thing. He should go, if he's Dalai Lama enough, he should go and teach the President of America. The people who are giving him award need educating. You see, people who are not worthy to give awards are giving award to people who are not worthy. Okay? If you are worthy, learn human culture. Support the process of teaching people respect for themselves and for others. Simple as that. And to be honest, because there is a lot of window dressing. Inside, people are actually ravenous wolves. They present themselves as peacemongers, but they are warmongers. They are so violent and murderous and so destructive. They are thieves. I'm not really mentioning any names. You know yourself, or maybe you don't even know yourself. If there was peace, there would not. You see, if there were any Dalai Lama of anything in the world, if those kind of peace processes, novel pieces were of any value, there wouldn't be the cost of living crisis. There would be no wars in Asia, including in Russia. There wouldn't be all sorts of stupidity going on now. World governments are fueling wars in China, in Russia and Ukraine. They're giving money. They're giving financial support, military support to fuel war. What kind of countries? The United States of America, Europe, they don't give money to eradicate the cost of living crisis. They're giving money for people to kill each other. Okay? See, money should not be given to fuel war between Russia and Ukraine. Russia and Ukraine should be sat down as adults. Stop fighting now. You talk. People are dying. These are poor people dying, children, young people, people who are poor. If Zelensky and Putin think they are very clever, they should go and fight on the street. If they are tired, then they can go home and have a drink. Let us look at the political geography of Asia. Thank you for your participation, and thank you for your contribution. I'm grateful for your support. Just bear with me a second. Let me try something here. Okay. We are back on here. Let us look at the political geography of Asia, also politics of Asia, sovereign states and dependent territories in Asia. Iran, China, Saudi Arabia, Japan, Kazakhstan, India, Mongolia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Vietnam, Singapore, South Korea, North Korea, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, East Timor, Brunei, Myanmar, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Taiwan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Oman, Yemen, UAE, Qatar, Burma, Kuwait, Iraq, Jordan, Israel, Syria, Turkey, Georgia, Azerbaijan, Armenia, Egypt, Cyprus, Maldives, Sri Lanka, Russia, and Macau, and somewhere called HK. I don't know what it is. So these are a list of these countries. You can look. If you're interested to see them, there are the polities of Asia. We talk about the cost of living in the world. We are looking at Asia's experience. We are looking at the content of Asia's society and interpret this in terms of what causes the cost of living. I'm more interested in the causes, the cost of living, more than the cost of living itself. And because if you have the cause of a problem, you solve it, you're more likely to solve a problem than not solving it. Because if you don't know what is causing the problem, you just waste time and resources. So this information is important and about Asia. And thank you so much for participating in this program. And we have had an overview, a review of China, of Asia rather. And going forward, we are going to look at other infrastructures of the global economy. There's so much wealth in the world, such that people with capabilities should eradicate poverty within 10 years. And each incident such as the cost of living crisis should stop. Subscribe to this channel, or we'll see you in the next video. And we'll probably be looking at some of these Asian countries in detail. I will pick and choose a random, probably China and India, to find out, to look at them in more detail. We were just looking on overview. It was a very exciting information on Asia. Do an independent reading of these worlds because they represent wealth. And the cost of living crisis, you may not believe me, is caused by poverty. And my argument on this program is that poverty is not necessary because there is enough wealth to eradicate poverty within a year. If the politicians of the world and also business leaders, people who own wealth like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, you know them, multimillionaires and multi-billionaires, they'll come together. But first, they should learn the human culture, the cultural economy, the value of humanity. And it's simple as that. Change the way you think about people, about yourself first, because you cannot bring peace if you are not peaceful. You achieve peace as a person when you begin to change the way you think. And this takes time. I'm not saying it's a quick fix. Quick fixes now should involve practical policies of strengthening the public sector. It can be done within 10 years also. Strengthen the public sector to provide public service and raise the level of income for people who are employed, for people who are working as self-employed, small and medium businesses, because these are actually also poor people. If they are not millionaires and they're not multimillionaires, that's the definition of poverty. If you don't own millions and billions, you're not actually poor. You're not rich. You're a poor person. You work for a living. You work as a working class, a lower and middle class, and you should be supported by the government. The level of earning should go up. The minimum wage or the living wage should go up significantly. In London, we understand it has been raised up to more maybe 15 pounds. That is not enough. They should be double or even 40 pounds an hour or 50 pounds an hour to get people out of poverty. You see, especially now with the cost of living, the aim of the government is to eradicate poverty by raising the level of income immediately. There's no point to wait. Talk to the rich around the world, talk to other countries to do the same. to moderate the violent form of capitalism, so that people get out of poverty and we stop listening, pay attention, and wasting time on issues like the cost of living crisis. It is not necessary. And this is the whole point. Thank you again for being part of this process. Subscribe to this channel, and share with family and friends. Click the notification bell and leave a comment below and let me know. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.